serious, what's the worst thing somebody has ever done to you? When I was in my early 20s, I was randomly assaulted while walking home after a night of drinking. I have no idea who it was to this day, but I was knocked out cold and later woke up lying in a pool of my own blood. What actually hurt more is that when I woke up, I saw a couple walking by and I called out for them to help me. They laughed at me and they kept walking. I'm so sorry that happened. Did you ever try to investigate? I hope you're doing okay. Some humans are just worthless pieces of shit that steal oxygen from everyone else. I hope you're feeling better. I'm so sorry. My virtual hugs go out to you. Doesn't even compare to the ones posted so far. But one time my friend and roommate, at the time, got us both evicted, then saddled me with about 7k worth of cleaning bills and bailed. The next apartment I got would only accept me if I prepaid the entire year. That was a fun experience. My friend pushed me into a bus going 35 mph. NDE for sure. It's just a prank. Bro, these are the worst people. You weren't supposed to fall into the bus. Now I look like a dick. My mom joined a cult when I was 6. One of the older men in the congregation groomed me and sexually assaulted me when I was 12 and he was 24. I was told it was my fault and got disciplined for it. My biological mother killed my baby brother in front of me when I was little. How are you doing now? My wife's friend was just murdered by her husband a week ago, and it was in front of their 11-year-old daughter. My wife has been pretty upset about this. She feels most terrible for the daughter who had to witness it and called the police. She has been worried about how this will affect the daughter long term. Good God. That is so heavy. I'm sorry to hear it. Little girl essentially lost both parents that day. My GF left me after cheating for months to be with her married BF. He had a third kid on the way with his wife. I was 2 weeks away from proposing. Was just waiting for a meteor shower. Devastated. Edit, much appreciation for everyone's kind words. This happened years ago. I suppose I left out the fact that dude was her boss as well. So yeah. Bullet dodged. I don't know much about what happened, but I do know they split up, and she emailed me about how I was right about it not being a good idea and all that. Never responded. Felt there was no need. Was just waiting for a meteor shower. The ducking universe stepped in to help you dodge that bullet. That was more like dodging a goddamn howitzer, bud. When I was 17, a guy cut me off at the scatter park, and so naturally I was like, whoa dude. But in a pretty chill shit happens, and I'm just trying to skate here kind of way. He did not react that way at all, and decided it was time to fight. Then and there, as children on scooters darted around us, and other dudes surrounded us. Guy was easily in his mid-20s, covered in gang tats, and in hindsight only at the scatter park to duck with some west side dudes, and get into a fight, rob someone. As I went to put my hands up, someone in the crowd held my hands behind my back, and homie sucker punched me and kneed me in the ribs. At that point his friend let me go, and they both kicked me while I was on the ground. My friends got over there and broke it up before they could do more damage. But this duck pulled out a big knife and everyone was just like, okay cool, thanks for totally ruining the entire day and vibe with your dumb gang shit. And he and his partner in crime just started grabbing random backpacks and shit before they skated away laughing. And this concluded easily the most cowardly thing anyone has ever done to me. Broke my nose and my jaw. And to be honest, it was probably all just the plan. Dude who started the fight got shot and killed about 2 months later, and you know what? I don't give a duck. The other dude is a heroin addict now, so good for him. Yeah, duck those dudes. My ex did a lot of abusive things to me, but the one thing I can't get over is ripping up over 20 years of concert tickets I had been saving in a memory box. Now that's just spiteful. Why would someone do such a thing? Because I didn't come home when he thought I should from spending time with friends. Cheated on me for over a year with my best friend and then talked me into a threesome together before I found out they had already been having sex the whole time. My first job at a grocery store, they accused me of stealing. When they found out it wasn't me, they didn't even apologize. Oh, and the person stealing It was a misunderstanding. Duck that store. I had a friend get accused of stealing at a grocery store. Turns out one of the shift managers who accused him was actually doing the stealing and using my friend as an excuse target of accusation for the missing money. They found out after he had been suspended, but there was still money coming short on one of the shifts he wasn't there for. He quit afterwards anyways because being accused of stealing doesn't make for the friendliest work environment. Living in an abusive household. Getting proverbially stabbed in the back by my then best friend. Seeing my brothers ruined due to alcoholism. Anyways, I'd say I'm quite good by now. Edit also, of course. I do not wish to imply that my brother's alcoholism is personally worse for me than it is for him. I just think this hit me very hard. Witnessing my brother, who was my idol during my youth, ruining himself so much. Knowing that I could and can do basically nothing to help him, while his alcoholism also ruins our brotherly bond. That kinda broke me. Oh, I have so many. One of the worst was when I was 18 and living with my mom. She met a new guy and was going to move in with him with my brother who was 8. She said there wasn't room for me. She left me in the house we were living in until the official move out date. Heat and electricity were turned off. Thankfully it wasn't too cold out. I was there for about a week or 2 before I got my own place. My mom broke up with that guy after like 8 months. Had nowhere to go, so she moved in with me. It didn't last long, and I moved elsewhere. It really summed up my entire childhood with her. Made me a widower at 20. Drunk driver crossed into her lane. He only got a few years for it, and I imagine he's been released now. Edit, this kinda blew up, and I'm getting overwhelmed with notifications. Thank you everyone for your kind words. I'm exhausted and not in a great place in life at the moment, but I'm trying my best. When I was like 12, 13, my best friend was killed by drunk driver. Guy was on the clock driving a dump truck to a construction site at like quadruple the legal limit. T-boned my friend's dad's car and killed my friend. His dad lived through it and ended up taking his own life about 10 years later after the guilt of surviving ate him up. The driver got 18 months and returned to work upon release. The penalties for taking a life while driving impaired are a joke. I'm really sorry this happened to you. I can't imagine what you've been through. I work for a DUI law firm, and I gotta say I agree with you. States are way too lenient with it, and punishments are absolutely way too soft. Members of my extended family made fun of my handicapped sibling. In response, I almost got into a physical altercation with one of my uncles, but my mom had to literally dig her nails into my skin and practically sit on top of me to stop me. Apparently, my family have been making fun of my sibling for years and decided to show how they truly felt about them at that moment. God help me if I ever see those people again. I'm glad you stood up for your sibling though. You're a real good brother sister. My GF of 5+ years ghosted me last August. That was tough. But then 30 days later hired a locksmith and broke into my house and stole my doggo. Damn. WTF. Yeah, it was ducked. I didn't realize how traumatized I was from it until the last few weeks really. Let's call him Jeff adopts me when he marries my mom. I'm 4. They divorce, I'm 10. Starts to beat and abuse me. At 15 I stand up for myself and get my ass beat bad at a campground. Neighbor saw and got involved physically. Police get called, turns out neighbor, Joe, has warrants. Cops don't believe me and Jeff says it was all from Joe. Take him to court, get child services involved, and to this day I don't know how but he wins. The kicker, it's revealed he's not my biological father. A lot started to make sense. Cut all ties. Find out when preparing for college he's drained my savings account which my grandparents set up for me. Silver linings, I'm 31 now with a loving wife and daughter. I will never be like him. Amazing last sentence. Master manipulators and cruel people get away with some ridiculous shit. Nothing sticks to them. When I was around 8-10 years old, my dad's longtime girlfriend made me eat out of the trash. She had been emotionally abusing me since age 7, but this is one of most evil things I can think of. It all starts when she makes me a sandwich for lunch with some really gross old stale bread. I couldn't finish it, so I buried it deep in the trash. When she asked me if I finished it, I lied so I wouldn't get in trouble. There were a multitude of punishments for this. I didn't do a very good job lying, so she knew right away. She digs through the trash and finds the bread, stating you don't get anything else to eat until you finish this. This bread is covered in old coffee grounds, trash juice and who knows what else. After a few hours all I had managed to do was break it into a million crumbs, so she put it in a bowl and gave me a spoon. Dinner rolls around and she decides to take us to my favorite restaurant where I have to sit and watch my whole family eat while she tells the server that I'm not hungry lol. The next morning comes and my breakfast is this huge bowl of trash breadcrumbs. My dad sneaks me some grape juice around lunchtime. As if that's any help, it's worth mentioning that my dad was so in love with her and probably scared of her too that he didn't question any of her actions. A few hours after the juice I start barfing out of nowhere. I don't know if it was from something in the trash or just because trying to eat those crumbs made me so nauseous, but I couldn't stop the purple vomit escaping my mouth. She starts screaming at me to clean it up and I do. I guess the vomiting worried her enough because after I cleaned it up I finally got to eat something small before dinner and still remember the joy I felt as I watched her pour the bowl of crumbs back into the trash. I brought this incident up a few years after it happened and she yelled at me to get over it and to never bring it up again because I was just trying to make her feel bad. 10 years later and I'm still sitting her like WTF was wrong with her. Had a roommate use my laptop to download child porn while I was at work, get caught by our other roommate, and then take my laptop to the police and blame his crime on me. Spent a year and a half in and out of court under investigation before I was finally exonerated. In the meantime I was forced to find different living arrangements, then my new home got burned to the ground and I lost everything I owned. My significant of over a year and a half ghosted me completely, only to message 4 months later to tell me she was 3 months pregnant with another man's baby and it was over between us. I got fired and lost all form of income, and my reputation was so destroyed I had complete strangers pass me on the street and call me pedophile. In the end I was forced to move several states away and back in with my parents in my mid-20s and begin to attempt to rebuild my life with the whole $34 I had to my name. So that was fun. Aged 6, 9 minus lots of rape. He would pass me around at parties for his old man friends. He'd make me shower with his son and they'd all stand there and watch. My mum won't tell me where he's buried, cause I'll piss on his grave. I hope you died in pain, you piece of shit. My boyfriend at the time had a baby with his ex-GF and 2 months after that he left on deployment. He didn't set up anything regarding child support with her, so he left it up to me and her to figure it out. We ended up where he sent me money to give to her each month. But it was stressful trying to reach that point. Since he was on deployment, I took on his role a bit and took care of the baby part-time. It was a really weird rough situation because I didn't feel the mother was a very responsible person. Anyways, it was a stressful mess. I did all this because I loved him and the baby so much. 2 months into him being back home from deployment, my brother unexpectedly died from a nod. My brother had PTSD and B from an IED accident in Afghanistan and was really struggling being back home and out of the military. I was completely heartbroken and ucked up from his passing and needed my BF's support more than ever. I hadn't actually been through anything hard yet that the BF needed to support me through, but I had done it for him the majority of our relationship. Well, that boyfriend ended up dumping me a month and a half later. I've never felt so much heartbreak and loss in my entire life. I literally felt like I could die from how badly I hurt. I have a few, but I suppose context matters. Had a father pull a gun on me at the front door of his house because my girlfriend at the time's cousin told him I got the GF pregnant. I didn't. Had a knife pulled on me on the school bus in 6th grade. Now the good ones are from the spawn of Satan known as my stepmother. She's tried to kill me twice. Once she unbuckled my seatbelt, reached over, opened the door of the car while we were on the interstate, and tried to push me out. I only made it because I grabbed the gear shift to stay. The second time she had a knife to my throat and the only thing that saved me was my dad came home from work early. Of course my dad didn't believe it any time. She got a pituitary tumor which ended up disfiguring her, so I suppose a natural justice was reached. My union president found out I had a personal dispute with co-worker friend. She wanted my job and went to our boss pretending to concerned about my friend and got me demoted and a loss of about $5,000 in annual income. I know it was a setup because she moved her stuff into my office before I even found out about the demotion. I guess my mom beating, starving, abandoning, and letting her drug addict friend sexually assault me is up there. Followed closely behind by this woman I dated for 4 years who systematically broke me down and physically and verbally abused me the entire time. If any of you guys are in abusive or confusing situations, there is support out there and I can point you to resources. Hit me up whenever. Probably my ex would lock me in our bedroom or bathroom when he was working and thought I was up to no good or something. A lot of emotional abuse. One night he told me the world would be a better place if I was gone. A lot more than that said, then left to go out with friends. I sat in the shower with a gun debating pulling the trigger for hours. I was raped a few years ago. Then, a family friend told me rape is the same thing as having an affair. I got in a very serious car accident, cold died. I called my at the time fiance to tell her what happened. She didn't even care. She just wanted more money because I was too dumb to realize at that time that she was literally just using me. She was too stupid, irresponsible to take care of her own problems, would always manipulate, gaslight me to force me to pay for things. Even if I couldn't, she knew I couldn't. I lost a lot because of her. She didn't even care. Yeah, there's a reason she's an ex.